Hey everyone, welcome back to Headlines here on Geek Space. I'm your host Danny, and every week we come in and we talk about a different geek headline. The past two times it's been video games. This time it's also video games. I swear to God, next time it won't be video games. It might be like linguistics or something. I don't know. It's not going to be video games. I've been heavy on the video games. But this week, we have a really cool article brought to us by Colin Campbell over at Polygon, where he talks to former Telltale employees about the company being revived. So for those who don't know, Telltale Games was a video game developer that shut its doors in October of last year. It shut down after what a lot of people consider administrative mismanagement. There was problems with money, problems with development tools, problems with not being up to date in technology. There was lots of glitches. Telltale Games were sort of notorious for glitches. And despite the original studio's kind of high critical acclaim due to titles like The Walking Dead, titles like Strong Bad School Game for Attractive People, the Sam & Max series, it sort of got this reputation, I suppose, as a developer that put out kind of half-baked products toward the end. The company shut its doors in October of 2018, and it was a big deal, and a lot of people were kind of left jobless, and how they handled the firing was heavily criticized. People were basically told at the day, please clear out your desks, you no longer have a job. This past week, a company known as LCG Entertainment announced that it had purchased Telltale's assets, some of its licenses, its original IPs, and just a various smattering of Telltale material so that they could relaunch the company. This has been met with some criticism, some skepticism, especially considering its jobs. The new LCG Entertainment-run Telltale CEO, Jamie Otilier, said in an interview with Polygon that he wants a sustainable company with a healthy, non-crunch work culture. And that doesn't seem to line up exactly with the job postings that they're putting up right now. So the essential rundown is this. The new Telltale is hiring a portion of the old Telltale staff back on contractual basis, which is to say that the staff will be returning as contractors rather than full-time salaried employees. For those who don't understand the difference, it essentially breaks down to benefits, pricing, longevity, and job security. Contractors work on a contract basis, thus the name. And the contract basis can be essentially anything. I myself am a contractor, and so for example, at my current job, I work contract periods of 3 months. And every 3 months I have to renew with the company so that I can continue to work there. I don't have full-time salary employee benefits, so I don't have healthcare, I don't have dental, I don't have I don't have a 401k, I don't have retirement. But the difference being that I have a higher per hour rate sometimes in comparison to a full-time salaried employee. That's in exchange for not receiving those benefits. However, I'm also in a riskier position. Most employees at my company are there for 5-6 years because they are salaried full-time employees. I am a contractor working on a temporary basis. In industries like video games, or in industries like mine, which is film production and video, contracts can be differing on their bases. For example, mine is a time contract of 3 months. However, it's not unusual to have a project-based contract, which means essentially, depending on what the contract is, LCG could hire a new Telltale employee to work till the duration of a project to completion. So for example, they could hire a texture artist to work until the new Walking Dead is out and then remove them, and they won't have any job security. There are certain benefits to this. For example, contractors often don't have the same non-compete clauses that regular employees do. They often have a different work schedule. They aren't required to pay into certain things like benefits or 401ks, so their money is more flexible. But the issue here is that it's also far more risky. And in an industry like video games, where devs are constantly being laid off, it's scary to not have any job security, especially when you don't have those benefits that you actually desperately need. It also makes things easier as far as laying people off. When you're laying off a full-time employee, you have to have justifications, you have to have contingency plans. When it comes to contractors, you can simply stop providing them work. It's happened to me before. It depends on the contract that you're signing. Admittedly, everything is up to the word of the contract, but it's not unusual for contracts to simply end. The company stops renewing them, and it's easy to fire you because if you're on a 3-month contract and the 3 months expires, they just say, we don't really want you around anymore, and then you're out of a job. The reason that job security is so important, though, for Telltale employees is because Telltale is based in San Francisco, which is one of the most, if not the most, expensive city in the entire United States. Contract employees can work certain places. I mean, I am a contract employee. I live in New Orleans. While it is a metropolitan area and it's more expensive than living in the middle of nowhere, it's not crazy expensive. I make do, with contract work, and if my job decided to release me tomorrow, I'd be okay, or at least I'd be okay till I find another job or I find somewhere else to live. Whereas people in San Francisco, if you don't have job security, that money will dry up really quick. You kind of need to have the confidence that you're still going to have a job at the end of your contract period, or at the very least that the job won't keep you from continuing in other avenues if their work dries up. It's a way less secure position to be in when you are living in a place that is expensive as San Francisco. So why is Telltale hiring people now on a purely contract basis? It's a probably multi-tiered reasoning. One, the video game industry has been moving to contract basis employees kind of as a general trend for a long time. The reasons are video game developers are constantly opening and closing their doors, which means that if people are full-time employees, often they're required to have certain things. Like I said, benefits. They might be required to have unemployment if you're a full-time employee, whereas contractors usually aren't offered the same things. So if for some reason Telltale shuts its doors and it fails again and it has a bunch of salaried employees, not only do they have to provide them with their benefits still for a certain period of time or until they can get new employment, they also have to pay things like back wages and all that jazz, whereas with contractors it's a little more slippery, not always in the favor of the employee. So while Telltale is kind of following a normal trend in the video game industry with developers opening and closing and the kind of need for contract basis employees being pushed to the front because there might not be a full-time salary position in the few years that they see projected outward, it can also kind of be a vote of lack of confidence or a vote of no confidence because they're not sure that they really believe in the company. I don't want to see what happens to Telltale be what happens to Interplay, where they kind of become an IP farm, but it is possible. The new CEO does say that they have back catalog rights to both The Wolf Among Us and Batman, so it's possible they don't foresee having a full team because maybe they'll take those rights, and depending on what the contract is for those rights, they might sub that out to another team. It's kind of shaky right now. They're not sure. That said, this is all speculative. I'm not out here trying to say that the new Telltale is money grubbing or that they're out to abuse their employees. I'm just saying that it is possible. However, certain Telltale employees, old and new, have come out in favor of the new contract. Brett Rogstad, who is a former Telltale employee now working at the new Telltale, actually said in the article, "I feel the contract is fair," and he continued to say that nothing raises red flags about the new company. So that's good. And the fact that they are, as he points out, coming back to hire alumni of the old Telltale points out that they're caring a little bit more about the legacy of this company than if they just posted all these new hiring ads and didn't invite anybody back. But also, somewhat facetiously, Brett did say that he took the job because "I like eating food and living under a roof." The new Telltale also brought back Sarah Guinness as Director of Operations, who was at the old Telltale, and according to Polygon, she was well respected at the old company and generally isn't considered to blame for anything that happened toward the end with all of the firings, so that's good. And it is possible, as Sarah Guinness said, that hopefully more Telltale alumni come back to work there. There is a statement about having currently 10 employees but hoping to work up to 30 very soon. I personally hope and pray that this goes well. I really, really liked Telltale, even when other people would complain about the glitches and all the poor game mechanics, that I was such a huge fan of Telltale storytelling, but some things about this company actually do scare me a little bit. Specifically, Brett Rogstad does say that he believes that he was hired at least in part by LCG because of his familiarity with Telltale Tool, which is Telltale's proprietary development software. The fear there comes from the fact that the Telltale Tool engine is considered fairly out of date by both fans and developers and was often considered the cause of many of the bugs and glitches that came in the final versions of Telltale games. This is somewhat ironic considering the fact that in June of 2018, just before the original Telltale shut down, they announced that they were actually ditching the Telltale Tool engine. So the fact that the new company now wants to adopt it in the same way the old Telltale company had used it, even though they were planning on ditching it, is somewhat scary. Now, it could be entirely likely that LCG is just making sure people have Telltale Tool experience so that later they can port everything over to a new engine, but I really hope that they do not keep that engine because even though I was a fan of Telltale games, you could tell that toward the end it was incredibly outdated. They really hadn't updated the engine significantly since the first Walking Dead game, and even then they've been using that engine since Sam and Max. So it was kind of time for that engine to die, or at the very least be replaced. So here you go, that's my rundown of this week's article. Like I said, I really hope it works out for the new Telltale. I hope we get a second season of Wolf Among Us. I'm a huge fan of some of the old Telltale properties, and I really do hope that it's good for employees. I hope that the CEO is telling the truth, that he wants it to be a sustainable environment that's not going to burn everybody out and there's not going to be high turnover. But I'm also somewhat skeptical. As Sarah Guinness says, it's understandable that people are skeptical, but she does want things to be considered innocent until proven guilty with the new company. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's always wait and see with the news, isn't it? So that's it for this week. I'll see you back here next week. Hopefully, maybe. I am begging you. I don't make any money off this. I just crave validation from other people on the internet. And because of that, I will also talk about a few other things. I've been recording other videos that I'm hopefully going to be posting on the weekends. I haven't edited them yet because I'm very lazy. Secondly, I also have a new podcast with my friends Grant and Solomon, which I think you can click on this link here. It's called Law Ready for This, where we recap every episode of Video Game High School. We talk about it via podcast. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. You should watch the show first, or at the very least watch it episode by episode along with us. It's a lot of fun, and it will be on this channel, Geek Space, as well as on Spotify, so you can check out that link here. I think that's it. See you guys later.